Our reading this morning comes from Pope Paul VI. It comes from his speech made for the celebration of the Day of Peace on January 1st, 1972. Its title is, "If You Want Peace, Work for Justice." It is difficult but essential to form a genuine idea of peace. It is difficult for one who closes his eyes to the innate intuition of it, which tells him that peace is something very human. This is the right way to come to the genuine discovery of peace. If we look for its true source, we find that it is rooted in a sincere feeling for man. A peace that is not the result of true respect for man is not true peace. And what do we call this sincere feeling for man? We call it justice. It is precisely from this place that the invitation we give to celebrate peace resounds as an invitation to practice justice. Justice will bring about peace. We repeat this today in a more incisive and dynamic formula. If you want peace, work for justice. We have such trust in the power of the associated ideals of justice and peace to generate in modern man the moral energy to actuate them that we are confident of their gradual victory. Indeed, we are even more confident that, on his own, modern man has an understanding of the ways of peace, sufficient to enable him to become a promoter of that justice which opens those ways and sets people traveling them with courageous and prophetic hope. That is why we dare once again to extend an invitation to celebrate the Day of Peace in 1972 under the austere and serene sign of justice, that is, with the burning wish to give life to deeds which will be convergent expressions of a sincere desire for justice and a sincere desire for peace.
The hymn we just sang together was a hymn that comes from enslaved Africans in America, that comes from people finding deep hope, deep commitment and perseverance to find, make their way, and build a new world. Now, in our collective Unitarian Universalist ancestry, we contain people on all sides of move towards abolition. We contain those who were enslaved, we contain white abolitionists, and we contain white slave owners, Unitarian, Universalists, all. Now, one such complex figure, as we all are, was Theodore Parker, a Unitarian minister. No relation to me. My last name is also Parker. And Theodore Parker was a white minister and abolitionist who by no means was perfect. But the story goes that for many years, he would write his sermons in his office with a shotgun on his knee because his house was on the road to freedom. His house was on the Underground Railroad, and he wrote his sermons with a shotgun on his knee to ensure that everyone who was residing in his basement below him would have safe passage. If we want peace, we work for justice. Now, Theodore Parker was also the person who wrote a much longer essay that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King popularized a phrase from that said, "The arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice." Now, the context of that was that he said, I cannot predict the future of our world. But what I do know is human consciousness, is human conscience. And I know the pullings and the pain of my own heart when there is injustice. And because I am a pastor and I sit with people, I know that so many others have that same pain in their heart when their fellow human, we heard man earlier, but we'll use human, when their fellow human is suffering. Theodore Parker's hope, assurance that the moral arc of the universe was bending towards justice, was because he knew his own heart and he knew those of others. And he trusted that when we are brave enough to counsel our own hearts, our own selves, we will be troubled. We will not have that inner peace, but we will long for it. And we will work to align our own lives, our own selves, to bring about a world where we can have peace in our own selves and for all. How many of us have troublings of our hearts, have pains of our spirits now? See some nods, hear some affirmations, yes. I would imagine that many of us have so much that is hurting our heart and spirit, and also that in order to get up in the morning and brush our teeth and do what needs to be done to put food in our table, we have to sometimes put some of that aside, right? Sometimes we have to put it in a box, and sometimes we might put it in a box and try and forget that it is there, right? We are only human and we can do only so much. Now, typically when this happens, we get reminders. We get pullings of our hearts, or perhaps if you're like me, you get large things hitting you that are just reminding you like, hey, remember what you are called to do. Remember what your heart longs and aches for. We have all had moments like this, and I would imagine that all of us have had moments when we have been brave enough to pay attention to the longing of our heart and to make a change. Let's take a moment to think back in your life and call some of these moments to your mind, to your heart, to your spirit. These moments when you paid attention to that inner voice that was longing for a change, that was longing for you to be or do differently, and you heeded it. Let us remember those times now. May we take this memory as a strength, as a reminder and a proof that we have been brave enough to uncover the longings of our hearts before and make big and drastic shifts that changed our lives for the better. And if you couldn't think of it right now, that's okay. Just like whip out your phone, jot down that question in your notes, or write it on the back of your order of service. Today, together, we will once again be brave enough to uncover these inklings. Now, this is not to say that this is the time to excavate all of the pains or your hearts and spirits all at once, right? You know best what you are capable of doing now. We do not need to drown in our longings, but we can be brave enough to hold them in our hands and to discern what is ours to do first, what is ours to do now. Because right now, some of us heard last week, is a time of new beginning, is a time when the world has been made new, whether or not we wanted it to be made new or not. Here we are, post-pandemic, post-election. It is a time of new beginnings and of devastating opportunity. It is time to build the new from our deepest truths, time to tend to the separation we have hidden from even ourselves, time to find, time to make that deeper inner peace we long for. Now, I do believe that that which is tugging on our hearts, on our values, on our deepest selves is usually what is breaking our hearts or spirits, and is usually those values or beliefs that we have but are unable to live up to in this moment. And we often feel intimidated by the enormity of them, by that tragic gap of being human that we refer to often, of our human imperfections and the ideals that we can hold. Now, the good news, there's good news, don't worry, is that when no easy peace can be found, following that is usually the roadmap to what we need to do now. It is the roadmap to what we are called to do in this moment. And the other really good news is that we don't have to do these brave things alone, right? We are together in community to do new and brave things together and to speak the truth of our hearts and spirits together so that we can be held accountable and so that we can be known by one another. Now, many of us often feel paralyzed by the enormity of all that there is to do. And the great thing is that those of us who are brave enough to start and stay on the journey, just by doing a little thing every day, are in fact able to change our worlds and the world. We need to be slow enough, quiet enough, and honest enough to be mindful of what our longing is, and then we can slowly and surely tend to it. Tend to shifting that inner turmoil that we have with our world by making the world a little bit better every day. We do this slowly and thoughtfully because sometimes I know a lot of us were feeling it last November. I know I was. We were upset, many of us, and angry. And all of that anxiety caused us to want to do all the things at once without perhaps being thoughtful, being deeply thoughtful of what was needed in the moment. And that is why we slow down, why we become intentional about being effective and collaborative at co-creating the world we long for. So, one more moment of pondering. Take one more moment to hold in your hands what it is that is on your heart, your spirit, your soul, your mind now. What tension, longing, or pain is there that you feel capable of naming and holding. If you want, you can write it on the back of your order of service or start a new note on your phone. Once you find it, take a moment to mark this guiding star so that you do not forget it. Pope John Paul VI once more. It is difficult but essential to form a genuine idea of peace. It is difficult for one who closes their eyes to the innate intuition of it, which tells them that peace is something very human. I've degendered some of the language from 1972. But it was important to hear the original before. Now, this is the right way, he says, to come to the genuine discovery of peace. If we look for its true source, we find that it is rooted in a sincere feeling for humanity. A peace that is not the result of true respect for humanity is not true peace. And what do we call this sincere feeling for humanity? We call it justice. We cannot have real peace if we do not have justice, internally or internationally. This is me speaking now. Internally, when we are able to be fully present to ourselves, our own humanity, we cannot fully feel at peace while others suffer. Internationally, of course, there cannot be peace while so many suffer from starvation, genocide, war, greed. If we want peace, let's work for justice. If we want peace, let's be led by where our hearts and spirits break. If we want peace, let us be led by our love. Amen. Amen. Now we, my people, are ready, I do believe, to start being moved by love to make justice so we can have real inner peace. Are we ready for that? Okay. And as follows, we're gonna start saying some other words in addition to peace, more in worship this upcoming program year. Right now, it's possible everyone doesn't pay as much attention to the words we say every week as I do, because it's my job to do that. But right now we say peace a whole lot of times, and we don't say other words like love and justice as much. And I want to say, I think peace was probably the right word for this fellowship to say for a while. You all had some times of difficulty and turbulence, and it makes sense that what needed to be centered and reminded of was the importance of peace. Peace just within this community. And now is a new day, is a new start. And now is the time for us to seek that deeper, true, genuine internal peace, which requires us to be moved by our love and to co-create justice in this world. Are we ready? Yes. Excellent. Great news here is that your board has been working on a new mission statement crafted from your feedback and conversations around your most awe-filled moment and ultimate values. And it's really, really great. These words will be informing the words that we repeat together in worship this year. And yes, this is the ultimate teaser, because I'm not going to tell you what the mission is yet. But I know. Your board's going to share it with you. There will be an announcement this month about when they do their grand unveiling for you all. So get excited, get ready. All right. If there are parts of us that need to be freed, that need to be listened to, that might lead us to more love and justice, let us free and attend to these so we can connect with our love of humanity and free our world so in need of liberation. I want real internal peace for each and every one of you, for all of us and for all. The joy and calm content of our hearts and spirits, knowing that we are doing what we can with what we have, is worth working a little harder at expressing our love and creating justice in our world. I think we want real peace. Yeah. Let's connect with our love and allow it to move us into this work for justice. If we want peace, let's work for justice. Okay, well, let's do it. If we want peace, let's work for justice. Amen.